How important is the influence of Christianity in your children's life?
Um, I think it's very important. The fact that I was taught to pray, and I was exposed to religion at an early age, and that is why I am um, the spiritual person I am today. I think it's the same for my children. I taught you all how to pray early, and be conscious that there is a God and that you should have a relationship with Him. And I think that contributed to your salvation and who you are spiritually today. So it's very important. Okay. How did the absence of your father affect you?
For me, it was a lot. First, it was like bitter, a result of bitterness, a lot of questions that I didn't have answers to, and in some ways, I even I blame myself. I remember in secondary school, before I was full on Christian. I remember just being very having a very I was angry, and I remember when I got saved. That was at religious knowledge class. I think I was in Form 3, and the man that was speaking, he spoke about forgiveness and all of that, and the first person that came to mind was my father, and just, I don't know, just in some ways I was just angry that all of that just ended up happening, and that, basically the typical questions, why me? So I didn't, I feel like it affected me on different levels. For I think my personality, I think a lot of it was because me being just sometimes very rigid. I think a lot of that was attributed to a lot of the pain that I had, just a lot of the memories, because remembering him, I remember just having that hope. I had a lot of hopes when I was younger of him recovering and for us to just be a family again. And I remember when he was starting to get better. I was just so excited and so happy because I figured that would my dreams would come true. But then he spiraled back again, and I really remember when he was getting better, and he cut his hair and all of that, and I was so excited. But then when he went back, and I remember you said, I think I vividly remember us walking in town, and I was telling you that if you'll ever be with him again, if he gets better. And I remember you said that would never happen. And when that reality just made me just emotionally just shut down in a way, because I just got really hopeless basically. So there's just all that and all the feelings and all the emotions of it. So his absence, it affected me in that I could never really relate to other people when they had both mother and father in their life. So there was always that void. And there was also, I recently realized the daddy issues that I have because of that, just not having that many that many men in my life. Right. So it's our family is a lot of women,
Yeah.
there's not really many men around. So the father figure not being there was, for me, it was very essential that I really wanted to be there. Especially since that he was kind of there in the beginning, and I
Right.
remember some of these things, but him not being there kind of made me want it. I guess subconsciously just seeking out validation, um, seeking out. I realized it because I did some deep soul searching recently as to why I am the way I am and why I think the way I think. But I can't remember it right now. So, but basically, yeah, it affected me a lot in my mind and in the way I view myself. Because you always told me everything that, like, I need to know, you're beautiful, all these things, but I never really believed it, and I wonder if I got that from a male, if it would have changed the way I view myself. So essentially, basically, that's what it is.
You ever blamed me for the whole situation? You grew up without a father. Did you ever make me feel like it was my fault in some way? That maybe there was something I could have done to prevent him from being the way he was. I know sometimes in children's minds they feel that the parent who is okay there's always something more that they can do. Did you ever feel that way? I mean, I know now you're all grown up and everything, but you know better. But growing up,
I think for the most, if anything, like any sort of negative feelings that I had towards you, it was only because, like, I felt like you gave up on him, or you just gave up on the idea of
him getting better.
him getting recovering or anything like that. Or like I said, in the beginning when I asked you, like, will you even give it a chance if you got better, and you said no. When it comes to him, I never blamed you, because in all honesty, I feel like you were affected by it the most. I can only, like, I remember at a specific age actually realizing that, hey, because I don't know, when you're a child, you just view your parents different. It's just, I don't know, you just almost don't even view them as human beings.
Right.
And even, like, I came to a point where I was like, this was really like mommy's life. Like, this was an essential part of her life that she had to come to terms with. Like, it's hard for me, yeah, but for her that experienced him, that knew him before all of this happened, I could only imagine how hard it was on you. So then that made me just empathize a little bit with you, and not really like be angry that anything. That's the only way I was like, that's the only negative feelings I had, was just I felt like you just gave up on him, but that's it. What age of mine do you feel like we were closest?
What age? I think it has been a great relationship from the beginning, from the time I had you. So I feel that right now, right now we're the closest. It has just gone from strength to strength. Yeah. How have your notions of what it means to be a woman changed over your lifetime?
How has it changed? For me, I feel like I realized in all, like, as like my Christianity has a lot to play in me just realizing things that are truths and things that were taught to me, things that are lies, things that we have believed, things that I have believed, especially as a woman, what makes you a woman. So I feel like typically there's this image of what what that should look like. When I really started to learn about who I am, and who God has made me to be, it just made me realize that it's so much deeper than how the media typically portrays, a woman to be, as if like it's so, like they act like it's just so surface, and it's just about looks, it's just about, um, even when you go into like, what's that word? Like gender roles,
Right.
even with gender roles, that was like so difficult for me to grasp, because I typically just don't necessarily agree
Right.
with it. But as I became a Christian, it just gave me like an appreciation for the woman, for what what we give to society, and how we I'm looking for the word, how we what we offer basically. um just I remember one of the biggest thing was learning that, being a help doesn't mean, it's not a bad thing. I'm still learning more and more about it, but I'm learning to appreciate what makes a woman woman. So at first it was just surface, it was just, um, dealing with dealing with um, at first it was dealing with the surface things, so dealing with how you look, and basically what is expected of you with how you look, the image that you basically have to try to come to as much as possible. But um, compare that to your relationship with God, and basically Him just accepting you as you are, knowing that you are made like this on purpose, for a purpose. And even that culture just has a lot to play with how we view one another. So sometimes, in certain places, thin people are widely accepted. In other places, bigger people are accepted. And that was something that was just like mind blowing for me, because all I know is Saint Lucia, all I know is, big bum bum and all these kind of things.
Right.
But and especially not having that, then you feel like an outcast. You don't feel accepted. You don't feel like you will ever be wanted. You will never be the epitome of a woman, because you don't have these things. But then learning about God, and learning about the fact that He just loves you as you are. He made you, and you were crafted. That just was a game changer for me. When it came to gender roles and all these things, for me it was just like, I know that I'm a hardworking person, so why do I have to confine myself to certain rules and regulations about how a woman should be? But then, especially recently, I've learned the beauty in being able to nurture and to be able to raise children. Like, that's not a bad thing. Like, it's not. I feel like society has made it look like it is so like it's almost like one or the other. Like, either you really want to be in the house and these things, or you should really be like feminist mindset and be a go-getter. But it's like, in Christ there's so much freedom, to welcome and to appreciate the traits that make a woman a woman. That naturally we are nurturers. And I remember somebody saying something about, a woman turns a house into a home, and there was something else he said, but I cannot remember. But basically, we just naturally have that different nature, and that's not something to be shunned. That's not something to be ashamed about. That's not something to be upset about, because the reason why all of us are who we are is because of the way our parents raised us, and the way you raised me. And that it's important, because if we're going to bring up the next generation, then there has to be mothers that properly raise children, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with putting time into raising your child. And I think a big part of that was me being exposed to so many pregnant women, my coworkers, I just really started to appreciate it by force, and it's just like, okay, this is not something that has to be like, which side do you choose? It's just a part of who we are. We bring forth life. It's a beautiful thing, and at the same time, we are helpmates, and to be somebody that helps, you cannot have like a weak person that helps you. If we both have to carry a load, both have to be strong, and if anything, it's better when the person that's helping you is stronger. But I feel like when it comes to generosity, there's no such thing as there shouldn't be a comparison, because I feel like both play a part. Like I'm going all over the place, but I feel like all of it serves its purpose, and all of it fits, and it makes you understand womanhood like on a deeper level. Like, because just the mere fact that I'm going all over the place goes to show you how complex it is, and it's just not that simple. And sometimes you just get upset that it's like, why did I believe this lie? Why do people make it feel like you have to choose and all this things? But basically that's where I'm at right now, in just understanding womanhood, and I will continue to understand that. So yeah.
Okay.
My turn. My turn. What did I just say?
You answering the question.
Yeah. Okay. What was the attitude towards sex in your family? Was it talked about? Who taught you about sex?
Well, for that one, first of all, I grew up with my mother, as you know, and we didn't really talk about sex. But I think when I got to a certain age, I think either she got some kind of enlightening, and she figured she wanted to talk to me that one time about sex. It was a very uncomfortable, um, very uncomfortable episode. She called me, and I can't remember what she said, but it has something to do with sex, and we were both uncomfortable. I'll never forget. I can't remember what she said, but I can remember the feeling. It was just uncomfortable, because she was not accustomed to talking about that with me growing up. So, and I spent some time with my grandmother. She didn't talk about that either. So I wasn't really taught by my my mother or my grandmother about sex. I guess I learned along the way, for children and books, and all of that. But I vowed that when I had my children, that I would not be that way. It wasn't a verbal thing. It was just a subconscious thing that a lot of things that my mother didn't do. I vowed that when I raised y'all, that I would be different, and I think you all know what those things are, and sex is one of them. And so growing having raising y'all now, just talked about all the time. You all didn't always like it, but you all were exposed to the topic at a very early age, and so that was because of my conscious decision to basically do what my mother didn't do. So that's where it stemmed from.
I feel like I don't really remember all of the conversations, but I do remember that you gave me a book about sex and all of that.
Yes,
I feel like that's something that perfectly, I was like, yes, mommy knows me, just give me a book, let me read about it, I'll find out for myself, and then move on with that. And I feel like that was just smart, just take away all the awkwardness of it. And the book was very interesting. I got to know everything, and it even had a little bit of Christianity in it. Yeah. The twins book. Yeah. That book.
Because I gave you the book, and I would try to talk to you, and you didn't want to talk. So I wanted to talk, but you didn't want to talk. It was like, give me the book, I'll read the book, and I'm fine. Don't ask me anything, don't tell me anything. It's okay, So you all got the message.
Yes.
Yeah, you all got the message loud and clear. Because it was a well written book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very that person. I can't remember the exact name. What was it? The complete twin.
I think so.
Yeah, complete twin.
That's really
and it basically summed up everything, So it taught me a few things that I as a grown up didn't even know, So it was informative for me, and when I read it, I figured, it would be good for you also. So
it was a good book.
Yeah. Okay, my turn again. Has religion or spiritual practice ever been a factor in the breakup of a relationship?
Yeah, girl. Yes. My my first like serious relationship. I remember that the when we broke up, it was confusing at first. Okay, let me put the context. I was in a relationship prior to me being a Christian, or at least me just committing myself to my faith. So when that was just before I rededicated my life to Christ. So that was before camp, and I remember that I went to camp, came back home. I was still in a relationship, but then a lot of things had to change because we were doing things that we were not supposed to.
No.
We knew we were not supposed to. I knew for sure, but it was still like it's fine before. But then after I committed myself to Christ, it was just like I don't want to do these things anymore. And I remember telling him that, and he was like, yeah, okay, we'll not do it anymore. But then having sex. And then I remember like after that, like after like my transformation and all that, a lot of things changed within me.
Right.
And then he was just not comfortable with that because making him uncomfortable. He doesn't want to. He just can't. He don't know what he can't do what he wants to do anymore.
Right.
So I remember realizing that things got a lot more like distant between the two of us. And when and then I remember like just really realizing that he's like backing away. And I was really, because at the time he was not telling me that's what it was, but I noticed all the changes that was happening. And then eventually he just randomly broke up with me. And I think you remember when that was like the big breakup. That was like there's a lot. And I was just so confused because he gave me some nonsense reason as to why. It didn't make sense. Like none of it made sense. And I was just like, what? And then after some time of being apart and just really seeking God and all of that, I realized that wait, this is the like the what do you call it, like the continuous factor. Like I realized that the true reason as to why he broke up with me was because I had become a Christian and he just didn't have free reign as he did before. Right. Yeah, that's the biggest one. Yeah, that's big. What was it like for you at my age?
At your age, well, at your age, I was raising you.
Yes.
So it was very different, and I'm so happy you all didn't, or I should say that generational curse has been broken, because it's happened with my grandmother and then my mother and then me, so yeah, that's what I was doing at your age. I got pregnant at 19 and into my 20th birthday, so you are 20. So, and right now you are 24, 23, almost 24. So yeah, so I was raising a three-year-old, and life was very different from what you're experiencing now, because I had a responsibility. I was working, were you working too? But I had to work, to support you. Of course, I was going through the mental illness of your father, and being terrorized, and being afraid for my life. So it was not easy, but I don't regret 1 minute of it.
How did you get like through like these difficult times?
Only God. I wasn't. I was like, I wasn't baptized yet, or but God always had His hand on me, and because, like I said, because my mom, granny taught me to pray, I never, even though I was not always as close to God as I wanted to be, I always my prayer life was always there, even if not on the level I wanted it to be, but it was always there. I always had that relationship with God. So um, through, and sometimes when we're in our most difficult times, that's when we call on God. So, and he used to answer me, So um, it wasn't easy. I had to go through that testing time, and I think God allowed a lot of things to happen to me so I could be who I am today, to be able to speak about it and to teach you all and to be able to appreciate, what it is to come out from that kind of situation into a better situation, So it wasn't easy at all, but God kept me. He saved me a lot of times from, physically, a lot of times from your father. For some reason, I always was able to feed you all. You all never went hungry, even with your special needs. Having to get stuff for you because about that you're lactose intolerant, and soy milk is not cheap. But some way, somehow, he always provided. I had to sacrifice my own to make sure that you all are fed, so you all never went hungry. So it was a difficult time in my 20s, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Have you ever felt deeply insecure in a relationship? And were you able to name your fear?
Yes, so my physical appearance, because I just never truly felt beautiful.
Right.
And I always fear that my spouse will never truly think that I am beautiful either. Fear that, somebody else would be better than me. And even just my personality, just somebody getting me and getting my personality, getting my quotes, and even like the things that people would usually misunderstand about me. Like sometimes, they would just think that I'm very rigid, but in reality, that's just me. And I'm a fool. I'm trying to just be really goofy, but I just always like fear that that people will just not really know me or love me and stuff like that. Especially in the first serious relationship that I had, the body issues was a big thing. To a point I remember when he said that you're waiting until I get thicker, and I was just like really like I really thought that I was enough, and I really thought that he accepted me, but even then, like, it was still like he aspired, like in the back of his mind, he still aspired me to change.
Yes.
And so I was just like really hurt by these words, and he said it in a joking way, but boy, I took that so serious, and I took it to heart, and it's just really important to me. Yeah. What do you like and dislike about your appearance? When you were a child, were you often complimented or shamed about your looks?
Well, as I've told you before, I was teased a lot when I was young about my complexion. Being dark as I am, and in other people's words, just being black, shunned upon by grown-ups, by school children. They were cruel, and um, it it didn't break me, but it nobody likes to be teased about something that they cannot control. So I guess at a certain point I probably wish I was lighter, but I think again God was always speaking to me at an early enough age. Because I wasn't in my 20s yet. I think I was in my teens when I started to accept my complexion for what it was, and not let people put me down. Yes, they would make the comments, but I wouldn't let it get to me like before, So, a funny story. My grandmother. I guess in those times you can't really blame them, because the mentality of these people, she still tried to scrub me down with blue soap, which now I find funny, but to think that you try to change a child's appearance because she loved me. I never felt that she didn't love me, but I think she at the back of her mind she probably was hoping that I was a little lighter.
Yeah.
But and she would make a joke. She said that when she joking with me, like you tell me you ugly, that kind of thing. So she would tell me, oh no, She used to tell me that, but I never took it in the negative. I never used, to say like I grew up. They say my grandma used to call me black and that kind of thing. No, she used to say it in a way. It was almost in a loving way. Like, yes, I'm dark. She probably wish I was lighter, but she loved me anyway. So that was the big. I think that was the beginning of me accepting it, and as I got into my teens, um, the opposite sex would notice and tell me that black is beautiful and I'm beautiful just the way I am. And as I got into adulthood, it was so it's like as I grew up more and more, people who were complimenting me more and so on, and I was coming to my own realization of who I am, and that my skin complexion does not define me and does not make me any lesser than anybody else. And up to now, people will probably not say to your face, I would not hear them say to my face, but just the way they would treat me, I would feel that they feel like they're superior than me, but it doesn't faze me, because I'm seeing if you're gonna treat me like that or try to bring me down because of the way I look, then you're the one who's insecure, And it usually comes from people who think that they're better looking than me, or they're lighter, or they have white in them, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
We all have feelings. All of us die. All of us get hurt. You get a broken leg, I get a broken leg. We suffer the same way. So it doesn't matter if you're the President of the United States, the Queen of England, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. You're not any better than I am because I am dark. I see myself, I am beautiful just the way I am. Because God made all of us beautiful. So I try to treat people the way I would like to be treated, and when they don't, I don't let it bring me down, because you cannot control other people, but you can control yourself. You show them what it is to treat somebody good. Yeah. When was the first time you felt that you were in love with another person? What happened in that relationship, and how have you come to terms with it?
Okay. Okay, when I first felt like I was in love, I feel like this for me is complicated because I've never truly voluntarily fell in love. I've always lied about it. Like,
so you have not fallen in love then?
I feel like I eventually did fall in love with the person, or I feel like I've ever personal people. Yeah, I feel like I have, and that's very bad. It's very bad because I feel bad for people. So I would end up in a relationship. Crazy, like as if I do things backward. So I would end up in a relationship, and then I would just, like, the person would express their feelings to me about who they are, because I'm not mushy. That's just not. Right. I don't even tell you I love you often. You know that, but I would feel it though. So I don't usually say it, and then it also takes me time for me to just welcome my heart to open up and just grab you. So in the beginning, I never I don't really fall in love with people like that, but I do eventually end up loving them really really hard. So I love them deeply, and I feel like I have fallen in love maybe once, but I'm not sure because I lied, and then I lied to myself. It's not good because I'm trying to be more honest with myself, honest about my feelings. You cannot be with somebody out of pity. That's not love. That is not love. Love is voluntary. Love is open. Love is transparent. You cannot just lie to the person I love you. Really, I don't really love you. Right. So, what was the question?
So I guess you've come to terms with it Because how have you come to terms with it?
I guess coming to terms with it means that, I realize what I do, and moving forward, I want to be honest with myself, and I want to be honest with the persons, and just not say, because honestly, I always say, every time, don't tell me. If you feel it, great, feel it, but don't tell me. So that way, I don't feel obligated to say it back. And sometimes I even like push myself in the direction of even loving that person solely because they love me. Because usually they don't want to do it first, and then I'm like, crap, okay, well, I love you too. And then I continue saying it, but I always say, if I can tell somebody I love them, that means I don't really like love them. If I find it hard to tell you that I love you, that means that it goes really deep, and it's true. It's right.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, so what was the moment I loved you most when I was growing up?
Well, that was when you told me that you told me that you had sex, and I felt hurt because that's not what I wanted for you, and I think that's a lot of parents' feelings, that you raise your child and you hold them close. You don't want anything bad to happen to them. You don't want them to make the same mistakes you did. So that was hard to accept. But you've since grown from that. So and you've come a long way. We're not at that point anymore. But yeah, I remember that feeling of just, because you cannot control your children. You can only bring them up, like the Bible says, bring them up in the way they should go, and they will not part from it. So
Remember that, I mean, that's something that I didn't want to tell you because of that very reason.
Yeah.
I felt like, it would just be disappointing, because honestly, I disappointed myself, because I know better, I know better and I understand better, to the point where, like, I just see the significance of it. It was not just, your parents told you don't have sex before marriage, and then that was it. For me, reading and all of these things, I when I do, I I take in the stuff like too hard. So that's why when I read about sex and all of these things, and just growing up, um, it sunk in. So I understood why I should value my body and all of these things. So then when I had to tell you that, it was just like,
yeah.
coming to the reality that I did disappoint you, and I didn't want to disappoint you. I wanted to. I didn't want you to face that reality. I didn't want to face that reality myself. So yeah, but it is what it is. It's fine.